Hello. Welcome to the Undaunted Man podcast. I'm Geoff Laughton. This handsome devil on my right is Mark Johnson. And we are going to be talking today, kind of a continuation of our last episode, around a deeper layer of discernment, and especially how useful that can be in determining if you're looking for coaching, what kind of coach is best going to strengthen discernment, and what kind of group are going to also support individual empowerment and discernment.
So listen to this. Lately, it seems like boys and men are everywhere in the conversation. Lost boys, hyper-masculine influencers, chads, incels, teens falling behind, and men in crisis. Depending on what you read, men are either the problem, the victims, or the punchline. Under the big tent, we're asking a different question. What kind of men do we actually want our boys to grow into? What does it look like to support boys and men in becoming strong, loving, accountable humans who can stand shoulder to shoulder with women and gender diverse folks as true teammates? It's so easy to get sucked in. It sounds so good. It sounds so loving.
Right.
It sounds so caring. It's so evil.
Yeah.
We will tell you how you should be. Forget your individuality. Forget the fact that you came here as a spiritual being to have a physical experience that's uniquely your own. And you are here to be the best version of yourself as defined by you that you can be. Compare and contrast that to a top-down approach. What kind of men do we want our boys to grow into? We will define that.
Yeah. Yeah. And ironic how many men that might have that point of view may have been raised with a similar top-down approach of being told by their dads what kind of men they were supposed to be.
True, but there is a gigantic difference between a father teaching his son and a small group of people trying to enforce a vision for all men.
Yeah. Yeah, agreed.
And that's the fundamental problem. I mean, imagine, you've got one kid of your own and a stepkid and a grandkid. Imagine if I went, hey, Geoff, I know how you should raise your children.
Right.
You know what? I know what kind of men your two sons and grandsons should be. Are you ready?
To which I would respond with a very respectful, fuck you very much.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's the trap. That thing that I read sounds so good. It sounds so reasonable. Why wouldn't we want to decide? Well, because there's no way for us to decide. I can't decide for you. You can't decide for me. We can't decide for other people. We don't know those people. We don't know their what their family values are. We don't know what their dreams and aspirations are in life. We don't know their spiritual reason for being here. It requires incredible hubris to claim to know how everyone should live, rather than allowing them to come to their own conclusions based on their own experience of what works and doesn't work. For them.
Right, which is why discernment is such an important topic to be talking about, because what you're describing actually disempowers or mows over individual discernment.
Right. Individual discernment, individual liberty, our ability to choose the trade-offs that we're willing to make in our lives to get what we want.
Right.
To fulfill ourselves. And so that's the topic today. Kind of a heavy open, but it's really about how to discern how to find a coach that works for you. You know, how do you find a men's group that works for you? I mean, the people that we're just describing believe that they know how all men should be. And so they will happily teach you what they think is right. And so then the question becomes, do you want to work with a group or work with a coach or a guide in any environment that's going to tell you how you should be and how you should live? Or do you want to work with a coach or a guide that's going to help you realize your vision for your best self based on your values and what you think is best?
And I think that's a key thing that distinguishes how we approach coaching, be it group or individual coaching, is we are so squarely in the latter camp of guiding men into themselves, not into a dogma or a doctrine that you and I, believe is the right one or the best one.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it strikes me that with the approach that we were talking about prior to beginning the recording, that top-down approach, that proselytizing, quasi-messianic, just follow, Jesus, just follow us. And with the rise in that kind of energy and influencing that social media has helped make possible, there are those who bemoan that we've become a nation of lemmings. And to the degree that's true, this is a big reason why. Lemmings, by definition, I think that was a poem, right? I remember learning about it in high school. And lemmings following some leader off a cliff, which of course we have historical reference for, like Jonestown.
Mm-hmm.
People whose discernment was actively discouraged, squashed, punished, shamed well, what's somebody in that boat going to do other than, okay, well, I don't want that, so let me look for the person that I'm going to give all this power to be my leader instead of helping me be my own leader. And, I think what kind of coach do you want to have is a great lens to look at that issue through. Because there are coaches, I've had coaches in my past who are happy to tell me how I ought to be. As a businessman, and there's a distinction in there, we work with an excellent business coach right now who is happy to offer strategies or approaches, but only those that are going to support the integrity of what we're about, not some cookie cutter system that you just do this, you're good. And so if you're drawn to work with a coach or be in a group that is going to employ kind of a universalist approach, you're setting yourself up for way more disempowerment than empowerment.
Yeah, and it there is a distinction to be made between somebody, a coach or a guide, prescribing a specific course of action, and practical action to meet a practical goal.
Right.
We're not talking about athletic coaches here. There are a handful of ways to train for marathons, a handful of ways to train for powerlifting meets and whatever. So there are proven methodologies to achieve specific practical goals. The kind of coaching and guidance that we're talking about is the more subtle kind and the more profound kind. That's like, who do I want to be? What am I here for? What are my overall goals for the kind of life that I want to have?
And if I can get clear on that, how do I get from where I am right now to more of that?
Right. Because when you have that settled in your own mind and in your own body, then choosing the right career, choosing the right way to make a living, choosing the right partner, choosing your own value sets, choosing the trade-offs that you're willing to make in order to get from where you are to where you want to be. That's all done by you based on your own discernment and your values, not by adopting someone else's values or adopting someone else's worldview, but by developing your own, becoming your own person and becoming a leader of self, which is pretty much impossible if you're busy adopting someone else's worldview and following someone else's advice of how to be a man.
Right. Yeah, I think, and one obvious, I guess I'll say, set of filters that fits in there includes all of our willingness to take how we were brought up, what we were told was right or wrong in our families of origin, our parents, etc., to even have the discernment to look at how much of that when we were young, we like I think most kids do up to a certain point. Okay, this is my mom and dad. They're telling me what's what's okay, what's not, what's right, what's wrong. And discernment becomes critical when you are maturing into adulthood. Which of those values or beliefs actually now, as an adult myself, feel congruent, that feel in alignment for who I really am and what I'm drawn to and what speaks to me. And having, we run into that with several men that struggle with actually being willing to challenge how they were brought up, what principles they were brought up with, to just newly in the present moment say, well, I'm really good with these because I've had some life experience and I've had things to contrast it to. I've had other perspectives that I've been able to be around and try on. And so if what feels most true for me and in integrity for me goes against what my family system that I grew up in said I should think and feel, it takes some real balls or steel ovaries. It takes courage to go against that, to stay in integrity with what you know is true and right for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I agree completely. And there are many ways to be a man. There are many right ways to be a man, and there are as many right ways to be a man as there are men. And you said something, and this is just another way of saying the same thing. You said go against the programming that you got from your family. I usually will talk about it in terms of not going against anything, but going toward the kind of life and the kind of and the way of being that you want. Keep your eye on the North Star that you've identified for yourself, rather than a North Star that has been either given to you or forced upon you by someone else.
Yeah, I think a better way of saying that would have actually been to question it.
Right. Yeah.
And that, for me, that is the core of discernment. It's an inquiry. It's a blend of inner inquiry and challenging, questioning, trying on, and ultimately, with your inner knowing, deciding what's the right direction to go in or what's the right decision to make.
Yeah. Yeah. And there are, sorry, go ahead.
And to have no sacred cows around any of it.
Right. Right. And there are no shortage of people, both in our own families and in the media, on the political left, on the political right, that are more than happy to tell you who you should be and how you should be. And that's why we are path agnostic when it comes to religion and spirituality. We are entirely apolitical. We don't take political sides because there are no shortage of people who would prefer to tell you who to be on all points of the manosphere, all over social media, all over the mainstream media. It's everywhere, and all of those ways lead to pain. They all do, to the degree that they're out of alignment with what's true for you. And only you know what's true for you. And as you become more aware and grow and develop, what you know about yourself and about the world and about life will change and evolve, and what's true for you will change.
That's a really important point that you just said that I want to emphasize. Because, in working with couples, this is one of the biggest obstacles or flaws that I run into all the time is couples that don't remember or maybe never even considered that they're both going to naturally, unless they really fight it, they're going to naturally evolve. I think our core values generally stay pretty solid through life. Mine have. But how I might align myself with those beliefs that I had in my 20s are certainly scarce for me now in my late 60s. And so I think it's crucial to call out the evolutionary nature that discernment also becomes an invaluable tool in, to really notice what's shifting internally. Priorities. How are your priorities changing? Are your beliefs changing? You've been very instrumental in opening my eyes to a lot of my limiting beliefs that I've actively and continue to actively challenge. And it's actually kind of fun once you get over the egoic attachment to wanting to hang on to them. Because this is what I know. Well, I can't imagine anything more boring than just living 80 or 90 years with the same shit that you've known and sticking to one program. And that's not the nature of being a human being. You can make yourself into that, but that's not the inherent nature. And that's one of the reasons, we've talked a lot in our men's groups. We have a really, I believe, in the whole industry, we have one of the highest retention rates that I know of in men's work, men's groups. And I think one of the key reasons is we definitely keep stressing the vital importance of not only that inner discernment and following your own compass, but also that you have to be willing to let go of any and all attachments at any time that are limiting the inherent potential we all have if we listen to that inner voice saying, go here. And we don't say to our guys, go there. We're always saying, go here. And we give them different tools or ways that they can do that. But the kind of coach that Mark and I would say you'd really want to find for yourself, and the kind of group that you might want as a man, are coaches and groups that emphasize we will support every man in this circle being who they are, and we're not going to try and make them the way we think they ought to be. And we're always stretching men into growth, just like you and I are stretching into new growth phases at this stage of our life. And that, and I've been a coach for 32 years. And, it's an interesting thing. I ask people, what is it about me that has you want to coach with me. And and this is encouraging. And, early in my career, it was, I want you to tell me what to do. I can't spell discernment, much less recognize it. And now, more and more people are saying, I just want someone to be honest with me. Just tell me what you see. Don't tell me what to do. Tell me what you're seeing and where I might be shooting myself in the foot so I can come up with a better way of operating. And I find that encouraging.
Very, very. And I think that is a very natural response to social conditions and the impact of social media, which distorts reality to a really amazing degree. And I think the reason that our retention rate is so high, and I think ours is the highest, like by a pretty large margin. It's not even close. And I think the reason for that is because it is refreshing and empowering and basically joy inducing to be in a community of men committed to ever increasing contentment, happiness, joyfulness, and peace.
Mm-hmm.
And that's essentially the end point of our work.
Yep. So if what Mark and I have been sharing today is speaking to you in either of two ways, if you're noticing that you're feeling lighter and that you've been listening to us and kind of energetically leaning in, or you've been freaking the fuck out, well, discernment, what? Then we have an awesome invitation for you. Like the channel if you haven't already, so that we can keep helping you grow through expansion and discomfort, which is part of how we roll. And also go on to the undauntedman.com and you can investigate one of our groups. We have virtual groups, we have live groups. So on the homepage, you can see links to groups. You're also welcome to reach out to either of us through the website to ask questions. But we support you in discerning where your appetites are, what you're hungry for. And if it's for community and guidance, we've used the word guide. And I think guides are essential in life, no matter how old you are. Then go on our site and look around, see if it speaks to you, see if it lights up your discernment in a positive way. And thanks for watching. We'll be back.